Conversation of the day. We are talking all matters digital businesses. We're talking about tech and businesses in this space. And I'm joined by Zach Mwaniki, who is Senior Projects Manager at Ericsson. And he's here to give us his perspective of this and just help us understand when a startup just wants to get into the tech space, what they need to do. Welcome.
Thank you, Kelvin.
All right.
I'm really happy you've had me here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very, very interesting topic. Maybe a quick introduction about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working in technology for the last 17 years, and we've seen a lot of rapid change. But still, what we see in our country and Africa, still there's a lot of room to go. So, as you asked, how does one get in there? I think it's okay to say you can have, the simple answer is to have a simple roadmap. First of all, people should try and automate how they do things instead of doing things manually, which is very labor intensive. It wastes time. And then the second step would be, in a nutshell, would be to get your presence out there in the internet. And then the last step would be to build a community that, can make your brand recognizable.
Mm-hmm. And I think we'll get to building a community. We'll talk about all these social media spaces that we usually see many businesses in. But first, as a country and in terms of the rate at which we are embracing technology, when you look at this space, how much has the business sector maybe or SMEs embraced technology?
Well, I would say maybe for the big boys, we say we stand on the shoulders of giants. For the big boys, the big companies, they're a little bit ahead because they have been in the field for a long time, and multinationals come in with the technology. So they're a little bit ahead, but they still find themselves struggling with digital transformation because of the speed at which the technology is changing. However, for the small companies, the SMEs, there's a long way to go. One thing I'd like to highlight is, I mentioned about automation, but, the question that comes is, you normally cannot automate junk. So if you have a process, if you do your things on paper, like I have a short story. I was in the butchery the other day and I was buying my meat. There was this big supermarket next to the butchery, and there was this delivery van with delivering some goods to the supermarket, and he had a very long list of items, and it's a very tedious process. So my advice is that as a country we need to speak out more. We have a very good policymaker who is talking a lot about broadband, but maybe we can get there later. The first step is really to automate how you do things, to make your speed a little faster, to stop using more heavy manual process and move into the tools, because the tools are there and they're easily available. Right now we have a penetration of over 90% in the urban areas, but still you will see people are not doing business in the digital space. So
yes,
there is a lot of adoption that can come in here.
Mm-hmm. Even as we speak about doing business in the digital space, first of all, it's not really easy because this is something that has just came with the transformation, digital transformation. It's not something that you can say people are used to. So how do we make sure that we instill this, even because, as you've mentioned, 90% is in the urban areas. When you look at the rural areas where we have young people coming up with different kinds of small, medium enterprises that need to be embracing this, how do we instill this in people who are not in urban areas?
We live in a country where innovation is really, really good. I'll give you an example. Speed governance, in the business of speed governance, those things are made right here in our country. So what it shows is that the adoption is not really the problem. I think the problem is making that first step, making the step into saying, okay, I can do my business in a more efficient way, and then realizing that for SMEs that move into the digital space, they immediately gain the advantages that come with working in that area. The internet does not bind you to the country where you're working in. Kenya is good in the service sector, but I think also in making our own products for Africa or electronics would be a good space to look at. But yes, I think even in the rural areas, there's no limitation of the brains. People can actually adopt these things, but the question is the exposure to the tools that are available. Our policy makers have really tried, because there's a blueprint for broadband 5 Mbps to each and every part of the country. And I think that is like the foundation. And if more people are exposed and help to the first step, there's a little bit of appetite on tax, on internet and this area. So that can also put brakes, but maybe it's something we need to have a conversation with our policymakers, our stakeholders, politicians, and to make that environment good, so that when you're having this conversation, everyone knows what you're talking about. Every business needs to be online.
All right. Also, looking at every business needs to be online. Of course, there are challenges. And these challenges are really come and someone says, okay, let me just leave this. I would rather go to the physical business that I was used to, and at least from there I know how to move on. So when you look at the challenges, and what are some of the gaps that need to be filled within this space?
Some of the gaps that I see is there's a gap in education, a big gap. But we have people who are also coming with EdTech to fill in that space. The other part is things like electricity, but we are very lucky to be alive in this age, because even electricity, solar has become really affordable, and it resolves this problem of having a digital device. We are in the age where a feature phone is just a few dollars, $10, $20, 2,000 shillings, 3,000 shillings. But I still feel that data is a bit of a gap. And then the other major gap is, I think, the resistance to adopt change into digital. When people are running a business, I find most people have no problem paying rent. But if I develop a digital product, maybe people will be, they want the product free, as opposed to paying a few bucks. But what we've seen of late is people are actually paying for digital services. So there is a lot of opportunity out here. And the gaps is not something that can stop you from going digital. If you're doing a business that is grossing 100,000, you're probably not doing right if you're not in the digital space.
All right, I'm being informed that my time is up. So your parting shot, even as we finish, just 30 seconds.
Oh,
and then we leave.
That was very quick. I will just say 3 things for everyone who wants to get into the digital space. Automate your process. You cannot automate junk. You need to, if you can do it, a good process on paper, then you can automate it. Things like receipts, get your presence out there online. That will build your brand, and then build a community around your product. And that way you're guaranteed very good returns for your business.
All right, thank you so much, Zach Mwaniki there, who is a Senior Projects Manager at Ericsson, talking to us about the digital space and how you need to manage your business there. All right, that's it from us. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. This has been Business Today. I hope you had a great show. All right, now, Buick KTN coming up next. Don't go too far.